After a weekend filled of games, y'all, we have some great and spicy decks for you all that will not only surprise you, but most importantly, surprise your opponents for the win. What up, y'all? It's your boy Ben here. I'm gonna be going over those surprising decks that you can take up into ranked, because the best part about taking these into there is the fact that your opponent does not know what you're cooking up, and that is the best way to get a win. Alright, y'all, before we go ahead and dive right on in, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. We're like 50 subscribers away from hitting 10,000 subscribers, and so, we wanted to hit it before June, and here's our chance. Let's go ahead and do just that. Alright, y'all, with that out of the way, let's dive right on in. Up first, we have a Charizard EX deck, and it's not the Shining Reveille one. That's right, Moltres EX and Charizard EX are trying to make its way back as a kind of like, hey, we're still here. And so with the Shining Reveille, with rare carries, it's just been kind of like, you stoke, you power it up, you hit 150, and then you keep going from there. There are so many variations of that are doing really well. There is solo Charizard, and like that's just kind of it. But this blast from the past is creeping back up, as it's including a Paldean Tauros to effectively go against any of those walls in terms of those Ocorios that are happening here, and essentially giving yourself more opportunities to attack here. This is 80 damage, which kind of clears that Oricorio right out the way. And then after that, nothing is surviving a Crimson Storm. So the idea here is you're powering up this Tauros before that Oricorio can get online, since Moltres does have a weakness to it. And then you have your Charizard EX to kind of just clear everything else out of the way. The only thing to be careful with this deck, though, is that this is worth 2 points, this is worth 1, so you want to make sure that you are clearing out the Charizard before either of these go down, so that way you are not lacking in points or susceptible to kind of like a 1-2 punch before your Charizard EX can finish out what they're trying to do. And speaking of blast from the past, we're seeing Mewtwo EX here getting a nod with the rare candy into getting your Gardevoir faster. Your main attackers really are Tapu Lele here, really poking away at anything that's trying to build up. Luckily for us, even if they throw up a wall, we can attack the mons that they're trying to set up in the back here. Everything's getting the energy, so you're doing at minimum 20 damage. But for the fact that this thing can scale up, y'all, for every single energy that's attached to a Pokemon for 1 energy, that is great. And so once this has the 1 energy, Mewtwo EX just soaks up everything else, and then you can do your fallback plan here with your Gardevoir to then provide that additional energy to continue your side drives up here. I kind of like the fact that there's no Curlia in this, since your game plan is really Tapu Lele, attack, and then finish off with Mewtwo EX, but everything else is weakened, that you can survive a lot from there. The giant cape here is really reserved to living with your Mewtwo EX, get yourself into that 170, but you can play around with a lot of other things as well. So we did talk about Charizard EX Genetic Apex, but here's a spin of Charizard EX featuring Ninetales. So we've seen Turtonator go around here. You're able to get 2 energy with it because of its supporter. However, that is like a 2-card combo. You also need to end your turn once the fire energy up there. However, you just get 1 energy on your Charmander, and you're super ramping up into this Ninetales. You're dealing 90 damage for 2 energy, 2 fire attacks, and you just keep plugging away on that fire. And you can do that here with this Ninetales because Charizard EX just stokes up and it gets all the energy that it needs, so you can dedicate all of the remainder energy to this Ninetales with no problem. I wonder if you do add in a Charmeleon here just to make sure that you're getting into your Charizard EX just more consistently, but this build opted out to not do that, so I'm kind of curious into testing how that goes. It was still able to deal a high and have a higher win rate over the weekend, so just having these 20 cards seem to be finding some success, and in ways to like take it up even more of a notch. I wonder if we can get even more of that consistency, maybe even over a red card, just to ensure that you're getting into that power right away. But I really do like this inclusion of Ninetales in here. really turbo, being aggressive here, less energy, lower to the ground, less energy to set up, more energy to maintain, but again, you don't really need to worry about your energy since your charged EX will get you to that 5 with the Stoke attack. Up next, we have this Incineroar Infernape EX deck here, y'all, and just want y'all to see. And note the Rocky Helmet inclusion, there's just a one of in here, so we'll just go right back to this just once again. Ooh. One inclusion of the Rocky Helmet in there. All right, so what do we have here? Well, we have something that's like pretty good. 140 is still a good amount of health to be taking away. Being able to already concentrate 2 energy into it is huge, and having a free retreat cost is especially great. With its high HP of 170, you kind of have a built-in a wall, so to speak, that obviously smacks home really hard. And maybe wall's not the correct answer or correct term here, because that free retreat cost is huge. And so I really do like that piece, and the fact that it can survive a lot of hits. We have Incineroar EX, which is probably the, dare I say, I don't know, y'all, I don't know, man, please let me know, but like the best EX of the set. With this 1 energy being able to deal 50 damage with its burn is huge. Also being able to burn Ocorio's and outlive that with your Lily here as well too. Being able to deal 140 damage for 3 energy, which is kind of why we like the Infernape, because you can ramp into that 140 damage much quicker here. You bring back, you burn, you can build that back up again if you need to, but by that point you get damage onto your Incineroar EX and build that up. So this deck is just filled with heavy fire hitters that don't need a lot of energy to go off, and like that is like the key part of this like a deck that's ramping it into. And that's kind of like the style that you like as well too. It's interesting to note here that they are opting to go with Litten for 20, but I think with this addition of Chimchar and Infernape, especially with no stage 1 in here, you do want to save as much health as you can, because one of your lines will be Torracat, because you want to save one of your rare candies for an Infernape EX, and at least the Torracat here will do damage to ensure that you have Incineroar EX ready to go for your Scar Charge Smash. Up next is this Psychic toolbox. I don't know what to call this, but like we got some heavy hitters here featuring Mimikyu and the new supporter, y'all. So for those of you who don't know, Acerola chooses one of your Palossand, so we can like zoom in on this for you. Choose one of your Palossand or Mimikyus that has damage on it and remove 40 of its damage to one of your opponent's active Pokemon. So then when we go back here into this deck, ideally what you're looking to have on your bench here is your Mimikyus up front. You have a Mimikyu in the back, and you have an Oricorio in the back, and then you have your Tapu Lele and your Farfetch for additional damage, whether to your active spot or to your bench. But Mimikyu being able to deal 60 damage for 2 energy, but then it puts 20 damage onto one of your Pokemon. So after 2 hits, 120 dealing damage that way. You can use Acerola, you put it on your other Mimikyu, and then you move that health from the bench Pokemon out into the front. If there's no other Mimikyus out there, you just kind of want to leave that there. You want to have both Mimikyus out in an active spot and out in the bench, so that we can get away with your shadow hit there. Tapu Lele is a great psychic card, being able to snipe anywhere on the field that has energy attached on it. Or Oricorio is 1 energy, being able to deal 80 once any of these mons are knocked out. And Farfetch is just a great mon, because if you're going second, you're dealing 40 damage right away to that spot. So I like this a lot. Low to the ground, low energy cost to the ground as well. If you notice that everything just needs 1 energy to retreat, so you're just able to power them right back up in order for their attacks to be ready and back online. And the cool part about this is all non-EX Pokemon, so only 1 price point for each of them, and there's nothing that they really can't get into, and you get extra survivability with the giant capes with that as well. I think the Guzma in here is a cheeky inclusion because you can get away with essentially dealing a 60 damage or 100 damage or even more so if they're running the giant capes, and being able to take away a giant cape or a rocky helmet so that way you're not losing attacks with these mons are pretty good, because like again 70 HP, 60 HP, 70 HP, you don't want more additional ways to lose health if you can help avoid it. Up next we have Togekiss with an Oricorio in the back here. Togekiss is a stage 2 that's low to the ground that likes going second. Just straight up just likes going second. Power up your Togepi, then get your Togekiss, hit him with the Cynthia, and then hit him with the Cynthia again, being able to deal 170 damage for just 2 energy. I don't know, that feels pretty good. That feels pretty good. And because you have like this power here, again, I like the inclusion of stage 1 here, being sure that you get to your Togekiss, because your Togekiss is your main attacker here, right? Like your Togekiss is the reason why you're playing this deck. You're playing this as a 2-of. You have your Lily in here. I wonder, you know, Mars is like, okay, I wonder if I would opt for more sustain in this deck, especially because this is our win condition, so keeping it as healthy as we can, it's pretty big. But like idea is Togekiss goes all out, it goes down, Oricorio deals 80 damage, then it goes down and you finish up with your last Togekiss being able to punch out through there. So yeah, no, this is like really good, and I think revisiting some of these old stage 2 mons that are like low energy like this, we should really be doing more often, because like Rare Candy gets you there faster, and if it gets you there faster, you get to hit harder and you get to hit sooner and you catch your opponents off guard. Speaking of revisiting an old deck, this deck really showcased itself within the last set here, pairing up Dragonite with Giratina EX, and additionally it was with Drud. But however, Drud was used, main purpose was used as a wall here, but now you can insert Oricorio as a similar fashion. So if you are not drawing into your Dratinis or whatever the case may be, you can still use the electric energy and the water energy very cleanly here, because it can be used as an attacker for 50 damage. Your Giratina is self-generating, and you're just leaving your energy pool as electric and as water, so that way you can get into your Dragonite more easily. Now, I will say I'm curious as to why there's no Dragonair in here. Let me know your thoughts down below if you would include the Dragonair in this inclusion. I think ramping up into Dragonite right away doesn't really service a purpose because it still requires 4 energy attack here, right? So like definitely still keep your candies, but like being able to attack efficiently for 80 damage if they like take out an Oricorio still seems pretty big. Being able to have 100 health is pretty big. Being able to retreat for 1 is still pretty big. So like it's one of those stage 1s that can still be effective because of the high energy count that is needed for Dragonite. But that's my 2 cents on that. Let me know if you agree, or if you like this build as is. I'd take out the red card for the Dragonite any day of the week, but that's me, and I probably will test it out in that way as well. However, this deck is doing great. Again, making that switch to include the Oricorio, making greater use of that electric and water energy, that mix, that dual energy in there is huge. It's a big upgrade for this style of deck of stalling out while you're able to build up your 2 monstrosities in the back. Here we're getting a rendition of Banette. I called it Bayonet the last time I was talking about this, but it is Banette. I know, but Banette is a great card. It's a toxic card. Shutting down your opponent from getting any kind of energy is incredible. They are running just 1 Team Rocket Grunt, and I would love to fit in a second one, because being able to even just take away 1 energy and then hitting them with Banette on top of that. Banette's here, y'all, just in case you don't know, just in case you don't see this card often. They can't take any energy from the energy zone and attach it to their active Pokemon. They can do it to their bench Pokemon, but they can't do it to their active Pokemon, which is why pairing it up with something like Tapu Lele is amazing here, because Tapu Lele can snipe anything anywhere else. So if you're like, okay, I'm gonna leave this active spot alone, clearly I'm gonna like slowly let it go down to like 30 HP, I'm gonna switch into Tapu Lele and then soften up everything that you have in your back. And because you couldn't do anything for your active spot, Tapu Lele is getting a free shot or maybe even 2 before it goes down, and at that point you are safely building up your Arceus, you're safely building up your Mew, and being able to then respond in kind to whatever they then finally decide to bring up. So Banette here, the low damage of 30 is actually done purposefully so that way you can set up what you want to do in the back here. And because this effect is a global effect, things like Pokemon Center Lady things like Pokemon Center Lady doesn't change that. So Banette is still is a pretty good card, getting that set up in here and then having some strong basics to follow up behind it. It really puts you in a good spot, which is why this deck did what it did. Up next, we have the Giratina Lunala and Giratina EX with a little splash of Necrozema. So this deck is interesting because we've seen the likes of Lunala and Giratina and Baby Giratina being able to retreat for free, powering up everything else. You get 4 energy online and you're kind of like pretty much set from there, moving things all around. The Necrozema is pretty sweet here because the prismatic laser is 120, so that is a huge amount of attack, and 4 energy is really not that much of a problem once you're running psychic only. You're generating with Giratina and then you're able to build up with your Lunala here. So I kind of like this piece of adding this card in here as just kind of like a means of just getting a one-off, and since it's a non-EX, it's only worth 1 point, so it's like, are you really in that much trouble if you do that? And getting that in there, and since it can't attack, you can then just concentrate building up energy towards the back here for some of these bigger EX mons as well. And then last but not least is this Fossil Soup. All right, it is Aerodactyl EX, it is Rampardos, and then it is Rockruff. So you're gonna start on your Rockruff every single turn. You have 1 Liquid Rock in the deck. You're going to thin that out every single time, attack from here, and then you're now hoping through that one take here, you're hoping through your Iono that you're getting your old Ambers, your Skull Fossils, your Rare Candies. You want to have your Aerodactyl on bench so that they can't Rare Candy and attack you from there and get things set up. And if you're able to attack for 50 or attack for 100 with Lincoln Rock and you're forcing things up into the active spot, then it's kind of good night from there, because nothing is above the law in this game and nothing will be able to evolve quickly, being able to punish your opponents from them trying to do out their full plays. But yeah, y'all, let me know, what do you think about these new decks? Is there any of them that you're interested to try? I'm continuing to love to see the combination of cards that gamers are putting together to take into these tournaments and have actually a good run with them. This is really what makes the game still fun. And yes, you can get all your meta decks, and we talk about the meta decks in previous videos, but it's kind of nice to see what other decks are creeping around, what other decks have high potential that you could be playing and mastering yourself. As always, y'all, go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe, definitely click that notification bell button if you like what you see here, and we're on the road to 10K. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.